Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and of course, Happy New Year. It's incredible to think that it's 2017. A few people that I've been speaking to over the last 24, 48 hours have concluded their last-minute pushes for Team Kaizen. Of course, qualification for 2016 ended at December 31st, and there was a lot of last-minute surges across the finish line. So I'm very excited to see who qualifies and what we get to experience with a new team coming into 2017. A brief reminder, of course, before we jump into today's message, that effective today, of course, or effective from the 1st of January, the new compensation plan requirements came into effect. This means, of course, that we're far more volume-centered. We want to have that balance across three legs in building our business. It ties very nicely, of course, with natural and organic growth. Of course, we now only need one customer order per month versus the 5 to simplify that process as well. That doesn't take away from the focus of customer acquisition. It just helps to simplify the hoops that people need to jump through in order to move their business forwards. Sometimes we might have 1 or 2 orders that might be very big, and others we might have 4 or 5 little orders. But we need to, the company has recognized the need for flexibility there. So again, that comes into effect, effective immediately. And of course, with 2017 upon us, the launch begins. And we're excited to see that Bernadette McBurney has kickstarted this off. Her flyer is up there on Facebook now, and it's been being shared wonderfully. So thank you very much to everyone who's sharing and participating here and getting the word out and making it very visible on social media. Very important that we do that. So I asked a question in my invitation, in my reminder. I hope you all got it. Eric Worre talks about us having a better way in network marketing. And of course, my question that followed on from that language in my invitation for today's call was, how do you make a better way better? Is that possible? Not everyone gets the results in their business of a better way. Is there a way to do that or not? So I want to first of all share with you a couple of slides. I shared them with Mike this morning. So I'm going to share them with everyone today just to introduce a couple of slides that we're going to introduce into the into the business presentation moving forward. There's this language that we talked about, that we've been talking about recently, called the gig economy. The gig economy is the new economy. This is the direction that the world seems to be moving into. It is something that allows independent workers to be able to provide for themselves their own income based on work that they choose to provide for themselves. Uber, of course, has really demonstrated a huge jump towards the gig economy and providing people a chance to become independent contractors in that environment. Of course, I began this technically, I guess, many years ago as a freelance graphic designer. And I was able to pick and choose work as I felt. Could choose the work I wanted to, dismiss the ones I didn't. And I had the luxury of working from home, working digitally. And of course, many people in that space tend to provide for themselves in this way for some time. At the same time, here's the interesting trend. And we've mentioned this briefly before. 40% of US workers will be working within that gig economy space by the year 2020. That's significant, isn't it? Now, here's the question. Why is that? Well, first of all, with the use of technology, there is increased mobility, and now people are not so bound to a location in order to perform certain tasks. As we look at network marketing and as we look at how we build NECAN, we can see that the digital age is significantly influencing the way that we can do business. For example, we're all gathering together here from across Europe, North America, Latin America, and what have you, all joining in together through the use of technology. We're building our business together. We'll have presentations that we might do this way. We might have guest speakers from our team, our upline, ABCs, one-on-ones, of course. this digital age certainly influences for good the way that we can build our business. It's also evolutionary. What we've noticed, of course, and statistics kind of validate this, is that people do change their careers several times throughout their lifespan. The consequence of that with the digital age means that this movement, this migration towards the gig economy is something evolutionary versus something that is revolutionary. It's something that is evolving. A critical point, I think, as well, is point number 3, that millennials are now joining the workforce, and they have a completely different mindset as to how work should be done. Now, there are some benefits to companies, of course. There is some cost efficiency for being able to provide employment for people that work this way. But for the people that choose it, there is a work-life balance that is significant, and especially this language that we've been talking about, turning purpose into profit. Then this gig economy allows people to spend more time doing the work that they're interested in versus time doing things that they're not interested in. And that, to me, I think I'm going to jump off here now and go back to me. That to me is something that is really quite important. Being able to spend our time doing the things that matter most versus the things that matter least. And of course, there is that saying, isn't it? Don't let the things that matter most be at the mercy of the things that matter least. And yet, I think we find a large chunk of our time is spent doing things that we would rather not be doing. I want to share some fun statistics because, again, this is going to come down to what one thing can I do that will really make a difference in making this better way better. So here's my question as I ask that, because it does come down to how we spend our time. As you look back over 2016, at the end of the day, I want to first ask a question as we begin to reflect, first of all, before we look forwards to this one activity. What singular activity do you think makes a critical difference in building your business? Some of us are excellent at giving presentations. Some of us are excellent at sharing products. Some of us are great at giving testimonials. Some are great at extending invitations, challenging people, following up. Some are great at organizing events and doing meetings. Some are great at doing ABCs and what have you. There's all this different activity that is a part of our business. But which of all of these different things ranks as perhaps the most important? Any thoughts on that? If you want to add it into your chat and share some answers, I'd be interested to see what some of you think is perhaps one of the most important activities for building your Niken business, this better way of living and doing business. To me, there you go, Madeline said it, contacting new people. Thank you, Madeline, for jumping in. Let's see, we've got a few more chats coming in here. Let's see what these other ones are. Bill Cottle saying consistency. Madeline, of course, contacting new people. Eileen is saying follow up. It doesn't matter what you do if you don't follow up. Now, that's really true, but if we're not talking to new people in the first place, then we've got no one to follow up with. Charles also saying talking to people. Kathleen saying follow through, consistency. I believe, right in there with what Michelle is saying, contacting new people and inviting people to make and keep commitments is one of the most important tasks that we can spend our time doing. If we're not talking to new people, if we're not sharing our message with them, if we're not inviting them to hear a presentation, to make a commitment, to move forward or to take some action, then we have no presentations to give, of course. We have no follow-up to conduct. We have nothing to be consistent with, other than perhaps emotionally keeping ourselves in a nice place. There's no follow-up. There's no problems to resolve because we don't get to hear any of them. There's no events that will have any meaning or value if new people aren't coming along. All of a sudden, things start to fall apart pretty quick if we're not doing that one critical activity. So here's my question. As you look back over 2016, if you were to tally up the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks spent in contacting new people, how much time out of all of the time that you had, out of those 365 days, 24 hours a day, how much of that time would have been spent in that activity? This is the sobering thought, and it's a good gut check, especially as we lean into 2017. Let me give you some examples of how we spend our time. You'll find this interesting. So these are some fun facts on how we do it. First of all, if we live to the age of 75, then we'll spend approximately 25 years asleep. That's frightening, that, isn't it? 1/3 of our life is spent fast asleep. Now, we know, of course, the great benefits of that, but we can cut out right now 100 days approximately of 2016 that weren't available business building time because we were sound asleep during that time. Here's something interesting. The average American, if they work 40 hours a week from the age of 20 to 65, will spend about 10.3 years of their life working. Here's an interesting one. Women will spend 17 years of their lives trying to lose weight. That's interesting, isn't it? We'll spend 9.1 years on average watching television. Isn't that frightening? 9.1 years. You might want to make a note of some of these, especially as we make some comparisons to how we spend our time in Nikan. We'll spend 2 years watching commercials. We'll spend 1.1 year cleaning our house, 2.5 years cooking, 3.5 years eating. You'll spend 3 months of your life in traffic. That's frustrating, isn't it? I worked out one of my own, having 7 children, the amount of time that I spend repeating simple tasks. Get your shoes on, get your coat, have you done your homework, brush your teeth, let's head upstairs to bed, do your jobs, have you done your homework, all these types of things. I calculated that I'll spend approximately 2 years of my life, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 2 years, repeating myself. That's frustrating, isn't it? But that's the joy of having 7 kids. 2 years of my life I will spend repeating myself. So we'll spend 70% of our waking life in front of some type of digital media. That's interesting, isn't it? We'll walk on average 110,000 miles. We'll spend approximately 90% of our life indoors. That's frightening, isn't it? 90% of our lives we'll spend indoors. And this is a fun one. Women will spend nearly 1 year deciding what to wear. I'm not sure what you think of that one. I find that one quite an amusing one. Perhaps that's time well spent because the average man will spend approximately 1 year staring at women. So maybe it goes around in circles. But this is interesting. I share these statistics, 1, because it's slightly amusing, 2, because it's also very sobering how we spend our time, but 3, the critical issue, how have we spent our time in 2016 doing the critical fundamentals of building our business? If you break it down to making contacts and setting appointments, these 2 singular activities being the fundamental foundational behaviors of our business. If we don't spend meaningful time in this, does it make sense to you that your business goes up and grows in spite of that? Or would you expect it to flounder, flatline, or maybe even decline? It's interesting. I believe this is the one single activity. If we want to make our business better, if we want to have a better way, giving us better results, then we need to spend a better amount of time doing the fundamental, foundational steps 1 and 2 of building our business. Reaching out and making more contacts to more people and inviting people to hear presentations or to make commitments. As Michelle said and as Madeline said, reaching out and contacting new people and inviting them are the fundamental critical behaviors that we need to spend our time on in building our business for 2017. What I'd like you to do is, maybe for fun or maybe for a wake-up call, calculate how much time you think you spent, and this isn't for mass distribution, this is for your own awareness. Calculate how much time you spent last year with those 2 activities, reaching out to new people, setting appointments. How much time, maybe in a week, in a month, multiply that by 52 or 12, and that'll give you the time spent. And if you think about that, it might only accumulate for some into a few hours. For others, it might only be a few days of our time out of the entire year spent on the fundamental, most important behavior of our business. So for 2017, especially as we lead into this world tour that we're now being a part of, I think it's really, really important for each of us to invest meaningful time, especially over these next 3 months, into those critical behaviors of making new contacts and extending invitations. Again, spend a small amount of time to say, if I spend 30 minutes a day, out of my entire day, 30 minutes is going to be spent approaching new contacts and extending invitations. How many contacts would I make in 30 minutes? We've done these exercises at events in the past, haven't we? And some of us, for those of us who were at San Antonio, some people got 4 or 5 or 6 appointments just from 30 minutes of contacting. Well, what would happen if we spent 30 minutes for 6 days a week, 5 days a week? It's only a couple of hours in reality, isn't it? 3 hours if it's 6 days a week. 3 hours a week spent on that fundamental activity. 3 hours over 4 days, over 4 weeks is really only 12 hours. That's a little over 1 full day of work in a month devoted to the most important behavior for your business. 1.5 days a month spent on that. That's not a lot, is it? Collectively. So with that being said, what could we accomplish with that amount of work? When you've done that 30 minutes and you've seen the appointments come in, can you imagine what could happen if we just rolled that out and were consistent with that each and every day over these next few months? I believe, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for these events, that significant change can come. We can get a significantly better result in our business, in our event attendance, in our goal setting and our goal achievement, if we break it down to how much time we spend on those 2 critical behaviors. As we focus on that and spend better quality time doing that, we will have a significantly better result in our business. Of that, I have every confidence. I believe anyone that spends 30 minutes a day contacting and inviting for a few months consistently would lay the foundation to definitely comfortably achieve Team Kaizen for 2017. If you wanted to rank advanced to gold or platinum or develop some front-level platinums, surely that behavior would go a long way in helping you to achieve those goals. For many of us, we've set goals this year already in saying what we want to accomplish, be it qualify on Team Kaizen or get some rank advancements, get our commission checks to a certain level. But many of us struggle as to what I need to do to get there. Start with this task. How much time each day and each week am I going to devote to contacting new people and setting appointments? I promise you, as you focus there, you will see a ripple effect in your activity that follows, in the work that comes in the consequence of your results. And that is the one thing fundamentally that is the changeable, controllable part of your business. If you're not getting the results in that you want, what do you change? Typically, how many more people do I need to reach out to and speak to? If I'm getting the results, then I can look back and measure. There is a parallel. There is a relationship there between the results I'm getting and the new people that I'm talking to. So we can see that very much. But that, to me, is the key measurement. It's the key milestone. And it's the fundamental behavior that we need to devote our strategic planning to for 2017. I'm going to finish the call here today, ladies and gentlemen, taking just 20 minutes instead of the normal 30, but I think we've labored the point well enough. The gig economy is upon us. It's an evolutionary movement towards a better way of doing business. It gives people more independence and a greater sense of control. It helps them to turn their passion and their purpose into meaningful profit. We've got that mechanism, that model upon us, within us here with Nikan. How do we facilitate that with greater abundance? Talk to more people. How do we do that in a meaningful way? Plan our time. Use our time better. Less time in front of the television, more time in front of other people. Thank you very much. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you all the very best tune in next week, of course, for more instruction, more education on how we can get the best out of 2017, because truly this is the greatest time that we can be a part of this business. Thank you all very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.